What's going on, everybody? I am super stoked to bring this to you. If you saw my last video, you already know what it is, but if you haven't, here it is. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bandai 172nd perfect grade Millennium Falcon. Man, I cannot wait to dig into this and show you guys what it ends up looking at. I've already taken a sneak peek, of course, because I have the manual out. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, boys and girls, first thing we're going to take a look at is the giant box that it came in. This sucker is in a huge box. And this is, I don't know, I want to say 2 strike freedoms. This is probably the 00 riser plus more. This thing is freaking huge, but it's nice that they put this in a brown mailer, every one of them in a brown mailer. So no matter how it's mailed to you, you end up getting it. It's not jammed into another box. So good job on that, Bandai. Inside that box, you get this box. This is the Star Wars Millennium Falcon 172nd scale box. And again, it is huge. There was no packing around it inside of the brown mailer, but it's not really needed. And so it's pretty plain, as you can see. Nice glossy finish on here. On the back side, you got all the information on here. All right, with that stuff out of the way, let's jump down to the table. We'll take a look at the instructions, the decals, and all the runners, and then hopefully we'll get into it. I'm going to run a series on the builds. I don't think I'm going to do a piece by piece, but I'll do it in small chunks so you guys can see how it's done. So let's do this. All right, boys and girls, here we are with the manual, and man, I cannot wait to get into this. So first and foremost, we're going to start off with this. Taking a look at the cover, says 2017 Bandai, made in Japan, perfect grade Star Wars 172nd scale plastic model Millennium Falcon. Getting into it, you do get some information that is in English, but as usual, almost everything is going to be in Japanese. It does look like they have Japanese over here and English on here. You guys can read that later if you want. Pages 4 and 5. 6 and 7. Looks like pages 8 and 9 are telling you how the electronics go together. And then we get started with the cockpit. Pages 10 and 11. 12 and 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Looks like this part back here is for the backlighting for the engines. 22 and 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Now, one of the things I'm going to be interested to see is some of the variations and similarities between the fine molds and this, because some of these pieces look really similar to the fine molds. We're halfway through the manual at pages 30 and 31, 32 and 33, 34, 35, pages 36, 37, 38, 39, and I'm really hoping this is not as much as a nightmare as it kind of looks to be. Pages 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and there are a lot of little thin parts that are going to go on here. So if you're a stickler and you like little details and extra things like that, you are not going to be missing out on this. 48, 49. You get where the photo etch pieces go. Super stoked to see how those end up working on this. 50, 51, 52, 53, and we're still going. 54, 55, 56, 57. It does come with a base. It looks to be, the base part itself looks to be like the perfect grade style that came with the 00 riser. But they also have these other things which look really similar to the same base that they used for the 1/500 scale Yamato. So it looks like they rehashed the base from another kit. On pages 58 and 59 and 60, taking a look here, you have all of the decals, and there are a freaking ton of them. On this page here, you have the color details. You have these in, I believe they do these in Mr. Color, the color guides. So you have these showing you how to paint and detail it. I'm not too sure about the figures. I might end up ordering some 3D printed ones just for better details, but we will end up seeing. And you get the back of the manual. You get one sheet of black pieces. These are a little marred from being in there, but that's okay. I doubt these are even going to get used because this guy is going to get painted at some point. You get one big sheet of water slide decals. Like, there is a lot here. These are all the cockpit pieces. I'm going to compare these to both the ones that came with the fine molds and then also the ones that came with the photo etch sets that I have. I'm not sure, but those may be compatible with this, mainly this back panel. But we'll end up seeing on that. I'll take a look at those water decals and see how these look compared. Personally, depending on how it can be done and modified, some of these might actually just look better if you paint the details, because I have seen it and it does have raised details. Might just look better that way instead of using these over. It's going to look a little funky. Just giving you guys a heads up. I'm just getting some of the bits and bobs out of the way. Here is the sheet of photo etch parts. You've got some small grills over here, and then the big ones are for the engine, and then this is for the collar around the cockpit. So it is nice and thin. It should be easy to nip and clean up. Last is a bag of, this is the electronic parts. I'm not going to pop these open. I may do that in a separate video just to test them out and see how they end up looking. But this is all the electronic parts. It is nice that for once, Bandai did not go, hey, you have to spend extra for this. So yeah, that's kind of nice. Kind of find that interesting, especially since the knockoff things, which you know will end up coming out of China. This is made in China, so meh. All right, boys and girls, here we are taking a look at the runners, and we're going to be starting off with runner A. And they start off all the clear parts on here. So you have the top and bottom cannon canopies. You can see all the way around on there. You get the cockpit canopy, and you get the back wall. I guess I could hold it this way. You can see, even though it's a little bit hard, there are a lot of details on there, and that's why I was saying I don't know if using the water slide decals on here would actually benefit you or not. I actually think painting it and then scraping off where you want the lights to be, and then using some Tamiya clear, whatever color you want, will end up working better, but we'll check that out once we get into it. Taking a look at runner B. On here you have one side of the front part on here. You get some of the insets, and as you can see, there are some great details on there. Runner C is just going to be your opposite side. Runner D, you get more parts that are on here, and you'll spot some pieces from the larger size, like the transmission piece over here. I believe these are parts for the front section. A lot of little pieces there in here, but the detail that they put in here I am very pleased about. Runner E is just going to be a mirrored match to a runner D. Runner F1, you have some landing feet on here, you have some hatches. Runner F2 is just some duplicates for the third landing gear on here. This is the version with 3 landing gear. I believe the fine molds has the 5, if I'm correct. Runner G, you're getting into some of the bigger pieces, and you can tell there is a lot of detail on some of these. Honestly, if it wasn't a big like paint and mostly wash and then some minor details on there, this could and would be a nightmare and take you forever to paint. You've got runner H on here, more details, and of course once we get this all up, we'll throw a wash on here and you'll be able to see all those details much clearer. Now these next few runners come in this box that's in the package itself, and it's made to keep them nice and safe. First runner is going to be runner I, and you can see why. These are very thin pieces. You want to be very careful when trimming these out and filing or sanding them that you don't end up breaking them or bending them, because they are fragile. I would recommend as you're building these, just keep them in either a secure place or just slide them back into the box that they came out of. Runner J, more of the fine detail pieces. K, more and more of these little thin pieces. L1, you get the figures over here, more detail pieces. I'm not overly impressed with the figures on here. I'm going to compare them to the fine molds and see how that looks. I know that there are some great 1/72nd scale which was created for the fine molds, which are 3D printed, so I might look into those. L2 is just some duplicates that were on L1. Runner N is a piece of the shell itself. Some great detail on here. One of the things I really like compared to the fine molds is they actually have the notches on the edges here, where on the fine molds you have to sit there and file each one of those out because it's flush. So good job, Bandai. Runner O, you get some of the pieces for the back engine. Runner P, you get some more big nice chunky pieces on here. Plenty of detail parts. Runner Q, again, more detail parts. 99% of this kit is going to be all detail part. Runner S1, you get some inset pieces over here. You get some pieces, I believe these go to the front. You get your other half of the top shell piece. You can see the battle damage that's on here, and it goes all the way through. I actually think that that is pretty well done. You kind of rough it up a little bit and you're pretty much good to go. I'm actually quite pleased. I was concerned when I ended up hearing how they were going to do this. But yeah, it seems to work out pretty good. Next up, you get one of your other shell pieces, and yeah, this is a good size. Roughly from farthest point to farthest point, you're looking on the shell itself being about 14.5 inches. And I believe this is about 17 inches from widest point to widest point, being front to back. On Runner S2, more detail pieces, some duplicates that were on S1. Now Runner T1, this is going to be some multitude of different pieces that are on here. You get the inside of the engine panels over here. You get the inside of the cockpit, and I believe some of this is for the top and bottom blaster cannons. And if you take a look, those are pretty well detailed. It looks really good, so I'm not sure that those water decals are really going to really work on here. I personally would just end up painting it, but I do want to hit it with a different color other than black for sure. I'm not sure why they molded it in black, but even if you just kind of did some dry brushing, that would end up working, but we'll see what we can do as far as lighting. Runner T2 is going to be your other cannon cockpit, and then some more pieces over here in black. Runner U is going to be your radar dish, which is the round one, and you get some more pieces. You get some cockpit, you get the canopy piece over here. They do have this design so that you can either use decals or paint the clear piece, or you can use this piece and have that open. I haven't determined which one I'm going to end up doing, but I will probably do it open just so that it doesn't have the glare on the plastic itself. Runner V, you have the engine panel that's on here, and each one will end up setting in here. I believe that the those photo etch will go into the backside on here. You can see where a ton of those little bits and bobs end up plugging in. Runner W, you get two of, and this is going to be your inset, and then your canopy if you're wanting to use not the clear parts for the laser cannons on the top and bottom. Here are your cannons themselves. On a side note, they do also include these molded grill parts if you choose not to use the photo etch, though if you're spent this much money and everything, I don't know why you wouldn't. Runner WA, you have these big, there's two of these big frosted clear pieces, and I know these are for the engine and the lights inset into here, and I'm kind of interested in seeing how this works as far as transferring the light. You can see there's like these notches that are in here, and I think that's to disperse it. We'll see how this ends up looking in the end. Runner WB, you get more shell pieces, exterior pieces. Runner X, you get the round shell pieces for the top and bottom cannons, just more bits and bobs and detail pieces. Runner Y, more add-on pieces with a lot of details, and you can see these actually go around the outer edge of the Falcon. Runner Z, you get two of. These will go over the engine lights, and then these will go they clamp down on there. I think they're dampeners, but you get a ton of these. Last but not least, you get your base, and then the parts for the base. So this will snap onto there, and then these will snap into here, and then it just sits on there. I want to see if I can find a way. I might do something like with a Dragon Momoko base, like for a perfect grade, where I can have the Falcon up and tilted. But we'll end up seeing what we can end up doing later on. Alright, boys and girls, I hope you really enjoyed that. It was a blast to do this unboxing, and I cannot wait to get started and show you guys how this ends up going together. If you like this video and you want to see more, definitely click that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely stay tuned. I want to thank USA Gundam Store for providing this. They didn't provide it for free. I paid for it, but they ended up getting it. It was in a timely manner, and it was at a great price. And remember, if you're not already a member over there, just sign up. You get an automatic 10% off coupon which does come in handy, and I ended up using that on this. Saved me a ton of money. Thank you again, USA Gundam Store. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until the next video, I will see you guys later on. Peace out, YouTube.